Final ending of the reunion, other parts down below. A quick update. I have not had good luck with VAR lately, but I did capture a 15-minute chat with best friend yesterday. My wife was moving in and out of the room, so I didn't get all of it. I believe the conversation was right after wife got home from MC appointment, where she left in tears. By the time she talked to BF, she was casual, unemotional, and seemingly unbothered by the whole thing. But I think I learned a lot more about what my wife is thinking than what she has told me directly for a long time. Here are some of the nuggets spoken from her mouth. On 2 occasions, she basically said she likes her life, her house, the community, the kids' schools, living by the beach, but just doesn't like her marriage or her husband. Interesting. She feels that she will be giving up too much of herself to put up with the things going on now, like me imposing restrictions on her. She doesn't like that she has appeared weak during our conflict. To BF, she basically blamed our issues on me have a mental condition, equivalent to having a disease, and she would feel bad if she didn't at least give it a try to help me, presumably before ending things. What the hell? Another partial comment about not wanting to screw up the holidays. Perhaps delaying a further push for separation until after. I'm assuming this all still fits the pattern. My take is that she is trying to build herself up to be strong in preparation for trying to re-establish control. She doesn't like the authoritative actions I've taken and she is preparing to push back. She lies to others about the root cause of our issues so she come out of this without looking like the bad person. The very long period of attachment to other men has erased most of the positive things she saw in me previously. Does this sound about right? We have had some conflicting dynamics in our marriage. Functionally, and to the outside world, I am the dominant figure in making decisions, plans, purchases, projects, etc. I tend to get annoyed easily when she does something I don't like, and at times she feels like she has to walk on eggshells to avoid my disapproval. But I am starting to understand how completely she has controlled the relationship between us. I have ceded control by caretaking for her, trying to please her, being afraid of her reactions, expecting her to meet my needs if I meet hers without asking, etc. Her mood determines how smoothly things go in the relationship. My wife apparently likes to tell others that I am messed up. She told this to other men when trying to explain why we're having issues. She tells this to BF, and I am sure she tries similar approaches with the MC. I think she ended having to lie to everyone in order to keep her secret life going. And she is still trying to protect it. Looking back, I can see clear examples of how she was gaslighting me, always taking an objection of mine and turning around to how she is worried about me and my state of mind. At the time, I wasn't ready to believe that she was capable of being that manipulative. Alas, she is no different than other WSs. There was some definite progress yesterday. My wife gathered up several artifacts from OM, Calendar, a music CD he made for her, and put them away in a box high up in the closest. Thrown away would be better, but it is a big step in the right direction. For now, I am content with the CD being stored out of the way. Getting it out of sight for the moment will help with withdrawal. One day it will have to go, but she is at least showing signs of moving in the right direction. Ideally, she will get to the point where she knows that she has to toss out all of the memorabilia. On the bad indication side, she informed me yesterday that the user restrictions on her phone would be going away soon. I asked her why she thought I would be doing that, and she said I could choose to trust her or not. I did not respond to her at the time, though the easy answer to that question is that I don't trust her. Perhaps one day that will sink it for her. In any case, it sounds like she is building herself up in preparation for challenging me again. She has also recognized my 180 behavior. She has observed that I am detaching from the situation and focusing on making sure I'm okay no matter the outcome. She claims that her agreement to go to NC was her commitment to work on us, but she now sees that I am not yet committing to move forward 100%. I agree that I am riding the wave right now, waiting to decide how to move forward, and making sure that I will be okay regardless of how things unfold. So, the 180 approach has allowed me to protect myself for ongoing pain from her denial. It is helping me to view a positive outlook for myself regardless of how things pan, R or D, and allows me to start working on myself. The self-empowerment aspect is not at issue, I think. It is the indifference toward my wife that is more in question. My 180 has made it clear to my wife that I am still not okay with her behavior, and it is certainly putting pressure on her. My hope is that the pressure will eventually get her to change her perspective and shed the denial. However, it is doing a good job of providing increasingly more distance between us. One way of interpreting her statement on not being able to tolerate the current environment is that she is passively trying to issue an ultimatum that I need to make things more pleasant ... or else. Or, perhaps, she really isn't in a place where she can tolerate things. If, in the coming weeks, she really isn't able to bring herself to deal with the issues that got her into this mess, and to be open and honest with me about what happened, then the ongoing indifference may push her to a breaking point, which, at this point, I can deal with. Right now, she seems to want a beacon of hope and encouragement to push her along in dealing with painful feelings. Update number 2. I went solo to the meeting with MC-2 this morning, as my wife was home with my daughter, who came down with flu I had over the weekend. The meeting was marginal at best. A lot of the time was me giving details on the last 2 years. Some quick notes. She felt that forcing no contact and putting restrictions on her phone would cause resentment toward me equals the bad guy, and make me more of a parent than a partner. I asked her what her normal script is for busting up an emotional affair, and I didn't get a clear answer. Mostly, it seems like her focus is on fixing what is wrong with the individual, issue from childhood or whatever, that prevents normal attachment to a spouse, like have to fix what led to the infidelity so it won't happen again. She did agree that no contact with AP was necessary, but I think the inference was that one had to convince the BS to break off contact, instead of forcing it upon them. Sounds like a long road to have to fix childhood issues before dealing directly with infidelity. I mentioned looking at affairs as a form of addiction, and she did not pipe up with any confirmation of that viewpoint. So, I am not very encouraged. I had hoped she would have a clear plan of how she attacks this sort of problem and would be able to show insight into how my wife is behaving. She certainly was pleasant to talk and had some interesting things to say, but I foresee a lot of sessions having to take place before we get anywhere. Not to mention, the fact that she is not in favor of forcing no contact doesn't bode well for helping me in the current situation. Don't know if it is worth going back, or if I should try to find another therapist, which I'm sure my wife will take as me just shopping around for a therapist that agrees with me. My wife and I basically skipped giving each other Christmas gifts this year. She did, however, give me a handwritten journal where she attempts to address her actions with other men. I think she spent 3 to 4 hours writing in it. This is progress in and of itself. Unfortunately, we have not had a chance to discuss what she wrote. She got sick the day after Christmas and left, along with the kids, to visit her folks for a week. Here are some highlights from her letter journal. Note that the portion below is written from her perspective, not mine. She starts off by saying she is making this big effort to delve into the past in order to pull me out of it, and how this represents all she has to give to try to meet my need to address the emotional affair. First section discusses the pain from things getting worse after going to NC due to my 180. She thought NC should have been the big thing needed to start moving forward. Next section provides a timeline of how things happened from her perspective. How things escalated, some rationalizations on why she fought me, blamed my discovery and reading, and my misinterpretation of the early emails on activating her fight response, how she felt I couldn't be right if I had to resort to spying on her, acknowledged that she loves other man, just completely differently from me, just as a friend, just like her other dear friends from that high school era, how she was angry for having to hide details such as frequency of FaceTime chats. She did at least acknowledge that she previously didn't think her friendship with other men should have anything to do with me, but now that she understands what I mean by emotional affair, she sees how everything does have to do with our marriage. She closes by saying she needs me to choose to trust her, that the control measures. This now is limited to me blocking FaceTime from her iPhone, iPad, make her feel humiliated. It was a big effort for her, which I appreciate, but the overall effect was neutral at best. I don't think she was fully forthcoming on why she did what she did, or when she knew she was out of bounds, or what her true feelings are for other men. She provided rationalizations for some decisions, but mostly didn't offer up that she now sees the error of her ways. She is at least giving up some of her shielding to protect herself, but she is still not getting the fact that she needs to actively do things to earn my trust. Making threats about me restricting a couple features disabled on her phone has the opposite effect. Realistically, she is probably not that into me either, and likely hasn't been for a while. She is probably more worried about losing her convenient life and about her kids having to split homes than she is about losing me specifically. However, the first two things are probably enough to motivate her. Her journal thing was a big step compared to how strongly she has fought to deny it was an emotional affair. I doubt she would have done the journal if she didn't feel under a lot of pressure. She's still clinging to her coping mechanisms. She rationalized to herself for so long that I think she is hesitant to let go of the excuses and face the facts, because she knows she can't bear the truth. Part of her rationalizations is that she is entitled to her own private world, and she is convinced that she is being wronged by my actions to protect the marriage. And she is resentful that I took away something very valuable to her, and I have not responded in a positive manner to her acquiescing to my NC demand. If I were to crank out a bunch of projects at home, which I really need to do anyway, start showing her attention and affection, and just ignore the whole emotional affair thing, then I think she would pretty quickly start reattaching to me. Of course, if I did all that, we still wouldn't be anywhere because I'd be carrying a lot of resentment, and we would still be operating from the same faulty ways of relating to each other that we have always used. Some updates from the last few days. Friday afternoon. Talked for an hour before getting the kids from school. I gave my thoughts about comments from her journal and then gave my list of what I needed a wife to be in the marriage I am pursuing. Funny how these conversations never go anywhere close to how I expect. My list of needs in the marriage sounded to her like this: I'm fat. I don't give enough affection. We don't have a bedroom life. I don't support his activities. In hindsight, perhaps I should have expected her to take it defensively. Of course, given the battle we've had for 1.5 years, she has grown to take everything defensively. Friday evening. After the kids were bed, we talked for a while again. This time, it was her turn to share her thoughts on what I said. The following is her perspective. The iPhone restrictions go beyond just features being turned off. She has to calculate how every action she takes will be interpreted, judged. This causes her a lot of stress. Every time she thinks of this, she feels beaten down ... and is also reminded of other men. She feels like she is being judged on whether she is worthy of being loved. This is the first time she has had to deal with not knowing if she is loved or not. Feels she can't step up to meet my needs in the current environment. Needs love to be there now in order for her to be able to move forward. She acknowledged that it is clear that I'm pursuing a good marriage whether it is with her or otherwise. What she needs in a relationship is to be loved and cherished. To know that I am in 100%. She is very hurt by the recent lack of affection, love and my uncertainty on whether I'm all in with her. Sad night. She couldn't sleep and was up half the night. She spent most of that time writing me a long letter. It appears that she is actually starting to get it. Her epiphany was that it finally occurred to her that she was, in fact, getting basic emotional needs filled by other men, attention, feeling cherished, entertainment, and that it felt so good that she couldn't bring herself to stop even when I protested. For a variety of reasons, she just never saw it this way before. We haven't talked in person about her letter yet. I am curious to see how her demeanor and attitude is when talking about it. On paper, this seems to be a huge step. We'll see. I'm not sure how to describe her behavior. I don't know if it's emotional immaturity or something else. She has always had an issue with low esteem, and I wonder in what ways this is affecting her reactions. She admits to not knowing how to behave how I expect her to. That it is not that she isn't trying, but that she just doesn't know what to do. She just doesn't process relationship topics in the way I do. She jumps to black and white conclusions which send her off down errant trains of thought. For example, I told her that I now think that we've always had some dysfunction in our relationship by making the other the center of our world, always putting others' need before our own. Now, she thinks that I consider our 20-plus year history to be completely dysfunctional, which wasn't my point at all. She never seems interested in talking about our issues. I'm not sure she has initiated any of the conversations we've had over the last year. On occasion, she will start an email on her own initiative, but not in person. If I was in her position and wanted to have a marriage, I would want to have time to talk to sort things out. Clearly, she does not respond at all how I would. I have given her expectations of what I expect from her, full transparency, true remorse, and actions to rebuild trust. She has done some of this, but my feeling is that is more begrudging than truly from the heart. Unfortunately, it is hard to discern her intentions right now. I plan to sit her down tonight and see if we can make some progress. Had a long talk with my wife last night. I think there's some things gained from it, but mostly it was kind of frustrating experience for me. I am a very logical and analytical person that breaks things down into basic concepts. For whatever reason, my wife just can't grasp relationship concepts in the way I break them down. I started by asking her to tell me about her epiphany from the other night. She tried to play off by saying that she had already told me in her email. I insisted that she tell me verbally. She then had to reread her email and then only had a couple of sentences to say about it. Suffice to say I am not very convinced that she has really had a significant enlightenment. She also flinched the first couple times I used the word affair. She claims that she can't do what I'm asking unless there is love and commitment from me. Basically, she wants reassurances from me before being able to move forward. I explained to her that when a couple has disconnected, there has to be actions first and that the love and emotion follow. She doesn't seem to be buying into that concept right now. She says that every day it takes all she has just to keep going. That there is so much hurt, and that she feels so beaten down by me not saying ILY and by me being undecided on her, that she doesn't have enough left to work out other things. I told her that it hurts to lose security and love, but she needs to consider other ways of reacting to it. I certainly don't feel wanted and desired as a husband, but I am not devastated by it on a daily basis. She can just take offense, or she can be motivated to do something about it. Her choice. I did get her to admit that she doesn't want to delve into resolving the emotional affair unless she knows there will be a marriage waiting for her. I can understand her perspective. I told her the first thing we need to do is for each of us to determine what we need in a relationship, decide if the other person can potentially meet those needs, and if we want to be the person the other one needs to have. In other words, we both need to decide that we still want to be together for the right reasons. If we both want to be in, then the next hurdle is to fully tackle the emotional affair aftermath. Which means her being remorseful, being completely honest about what happened, owning up to her choices, and doing the work to rebuild trust. At some point fairly early in the conversation she threw out a question of why I would want to be with her. I gave her a chance to offer an answer, but she did not. I then reiterated my list of needs and offered up what I think she is capable of doing. I asked her if she wants to be that person. She said of course she wants to be that person but doesn't know how. I asked her think about whether she is willing to commit to trying. I am asking a lot of her, which I have never done before. I don't think she is anywhere close to BPD. My wife is historically very emotionally stable and not prone to emotional swings at all. This is one of the things I like about her. She was typically a pretty low-maintenance spouse. I have no plans to give her such reassurances. I cannot give her assurances on feelings that I don't have right now. I can't tell her that things will be all right in the end. She will have to find a way to deal with these facts. My previous post was simply providing details on her perspective. Not an indication that I am going along. I see the steps as 1. I decide if I want to try to reconcile. There is not really a point in addressing the emotional affair if I'm leaving anyway, so I see this choice as the first step. There are a lot of factors in this decision for me. I think she has the capability to become a better version of herself, and I could be happy with that version. If she is willing and interested to work very, very hard to that end, then I am inclined to try to stay together. Wife has the same choice toward me. 2. Wife must do the steps necessary to rebuild from the emotional affair. R will only work if she meets the expectations laid out. No guarantees that I will be there at the end of this effort if she can't step to do what is necessary. 3. We work on improving ourselves while we also work on the marriage. Again, no guarantees that this will work out. Only that we commit to trying. The latest updates another day, more drama. We had a fight last night over her iPad. Right after I get home, she hands me her iPad and very nicely asks me to enter the restrictions access code. She says that she wants to completely reset her iPad so she can start over on organizing everything, now that she better knows how to use it. She had worked all day on organizing stuff in the house and that she wants a clean start with her devices. Well, though she had not mentioned a word of this to me, I knew something like this was coming. A few days ago, I was able to check her iPhone where I could see a file that shows the last 600 characters typed. In any case, I did not go through with having all of the iPad data erases. To me, it seems like something is up that she is not telling me about. I have no idea if there is anything damaging on the iPad that she is afraid I'll see. I have previously checked it out as best as I can without finding anything. So, I am not expecting any big discoveries, but the whole thing just didn't pass the sniff test for me. I merely told my wife that I would think about it. When she realized that I wasn't going to go along with her plan last night, she got really upset and a pointless, hour-long conversation ensued. Some of the usual things: I'm treating her like crap, I am being vindictive, I should be trying to work with her to make things better, how we are in a parent-child relationship right now, how she is trying to do what I ask, that I have nothing to gain by denying her request. She was upset and angry, I was calm. I told her I wasn't treating her like crap. I am treating her like I don't trust her because I don't. I told her that I am holding her to my expectations for what a WS needs to do and I don't feel that she is close to doing that. I also reminded her that we first need to decide if we really want to be together, and that should be where she focuses her thoughts. She ended up staying up half the night. For the most part, I am doing all right. Since the family returned from the trip after New Year's, I have not taken a lot of time for myself. Still struggling with finding the time and space for myself with everybody else around. When I was by myself for a week, I felt rejuvenated, optimistic, and the most relaxed I've been in a long time. That has faded somewhat, but I still feel pretty good on days when I get enough sleep. When left to my own devices, I am much better at maintaining my focus, effectiveness on doing what I need to be doing. The uncertainty with being in limbo doesn't really bother me a lot. I can live in the gray areas of life for a while. The only coping skill I learned from my original family, which was rather dysfunctional due to my mother's bipolar traits, was detachment. So I am, unfortunately, pretty good at detaching. What has caused me stress is the indecision on what route I want to take. My decision obviously has huge ramifications for my family, the kids in particular, and this indecision does weigh heavily on me daily. My crystal ball is pretty cloudy on what person to expect my wife to be. I have different sides that tell me different answers on what I should do, and it's hard to know which side of me is valid and which is clouded in judgment, or how my viewpoints will change as I become the person I need to be. At another time, I will try to spell out these internal arguments. She may already be getting that divorce is a real and imminent option. Either that, or just being really passive-aggressive. We had taken the night off from having any conversations and watched some TV together before bed. Then, right after the lights are out, she says out of the blue, "You're going to miss me." As in, she is assuming that we are going to split and that she hopes I will miss her when we are not together. She went on to say that she figures we must have already crossed over the line because all that she told me over the weekend didn't seem to change anything. She wasn't able to tell me what reaction she was expecting, hoping for from me. I told her I had not reached any conclusions yet. I did tell her something along the lines of what Carmen suggested. Her views on the emotional affair seem set, mine are set, and the two don't lead to a resolution. If something doesn't change, we won't make it. Her final comments for the night were that maybe we wouldn't be able to resolve it, and that she felt bad that I thought her capable of wronging me so much to be worth all of this. I have two voices inside my head where are tearing at me. The subconscious voice that looks out for what I want says I should move on. That I have wanted someone more capable of keeping up with me, someone who contributes more to the marriage, someone more able to help me be the person I want to be. This voice has been saying it for a lot of years, but I never let myself listen to until recently. The other voice is the one that tells me what I should do, that a couple should try to keep the marriage until they have truly exhausted all efforts to make things work, that everybody else, especially my kids, are better off with the marriage intact, that there is still a chance that I'll be better off if my wife and I can be the people we need to be, that life as a divorced parent isn't a bed of roses. I could certainly benefit from the perspective of those that have been in this place and can provide some insight on how things turned out. There is still some affection and attachment between us, but I don't know if that is enough. Filing for divorce may very well be the best option in either case, stay or go, but I need no going and what outcome I am hoping for. I saw MC-3 yesterday on my own. For the most part, he seems pretty good. Wife and I talked for a while last night. As usual, it wasn't too productive. Her big thing is that she can't take being in the current situation for much longer. She is pushing to separate while I decide what I want to do. Her hope is that, in the end, I'll decide that I want to stay with her. She now understands that a lot of my dilemma is not having a crystal ball on how much she'll be able to change, or how much we'll be able to change in our relationship, or how my views, needs may difference once I've had some time to work out my issues. I don't know if she'll be able to change enough. She doesn't seem to be very motivated to change. She says she is pretty okay with how she is. She acknowledges that there is room for growth by finding a hobby, passion, and by getting a job. She is certainly not at the point where she is looking inward to try to understand what behaviors she has that contributed to our problems. Her position, which is that she's in pretty good shape and that I'm the one with most of the work to do, doesn't provide a lot of hope for a better future. She just doesn't respond to anything in the way I expect. If she were the one trying to decide on me, I'd at least be trying to offer up something to encourage her to stay with me. The fact that I am close to walking out doesn't motivate her to look at herself or change anything. She just walls up inside her own hurt. She basically wants something akin to unconditional love and trust, like constant acceptance, assurance that I love her just as she is. There is still the emotional affair to deal with as well. She doesn't provide much hope on that either. Still bristles the first time in a conversation that I use the word affair. Still takes issue with the control I exerted trying to get her to be transparent. I don't get why it is so hard for her to understand how to rebuild trust. She just wants me to choose to trust her and move on. I previously mentioned the iPad incident where she wanted me to let her reset her iPad to factory default with all data removed. Turns out that she had tried herself before discovering that the user restriction code prevented it. She knew that I considered deleting texts or internet history to be a breach of trust, but she somehow thought it was okay to wipe out all data from her iPad. What the hell? She continues to be upset with me and argue about it weeks later. Even on the same day when I finally turned off all other restrictions. I get that a risk in separation after infidelity is for the WS to continue or restart their affair. Is there more to the objection to separating? In our case, there are some potential benefits. Right now, time together can often mean feeling worse about each other. Some time apart could keep things from getting worse. For me, I am much more at ease when she isn't around. I can much better focus on what I need to be doing to work on my issues. Again, time apart has some benefits. For her, she needs to have something drive her to being more independent, working on self-esteem, and getting out to interact with the rest of the world. Being separated would provide a lot of motivation for her to do these things. It would hopefully provide more of a wake-up call in the possibility of divorce. The question becomes whether the benefits outweigh the risk of one of us stepping out of bounds while we are apart. The option of filing for a divorce has been suggested. I believe that filing for divorce, as an effort to get her to change, will not be effective. She will just be hurt and give up. Given what I have seen of her, I consider that option to be a last resort right now, though it may yet come to that some months down the road. I did decide that I am going to try to save my marriage. I had pretty much convinced myself at the time I posted last Friday, and I finally had the conversation with my wife last night. Our talk last night went about as well as any other lately, but I did express my commitment to give it my best to work things out. My indecision over the last few weeks has certainly done some damage, but I don't think it can't be overcome. There are other things that will be bigger hurdles: her attitude about the emotional affair, unrealistic expectations for unconditional love, our dysfunctional codependent parent-child interactions, and the baggage each of bring that creates dysfunction patterns. Right now, I don't have that much confidence that things will get to a good point, but I am going to give my best shot. As has been stated before, it will either work or it won't. Either way, I am ready to move forward. I am going to stop worrying about what she can or wants to change. I will leave that for her to figure out, along with a suitable MC and IC. I am going to return to trying to focus on improving my issues and start working on the boundaries I need in place for my growth and improvement. Start behaving in an open and completely honest manner. Show remorse for her actions during emotional affair. Provide details on what she lied about or intentionally withheld, and things she did, feelings she had that weren't appropriate for a married woman. Take initiative in behaving in a transparent manner. A general change in attitude to emotional affair. Accept her past behavior as infidelity. Let go of need to rug sweep. Show understanding of the damage to our relationship that resulted from the emotional affair. Show understanding that she needs to earn trust. Show understanding that it is reasonable for me to need the above. Here is my plan at the moment. Give her the high-level things that need to happen for reconciliation to have a chance: remorse, trust, self-reflection, full disclosure, and tell it is up to her to figure out how. Give her the space to figure out how she wants to pursue accomplishing them, and then not concern me about what she is doing, like letting go. If she wants to actually go out with friends, or do things for herself, then great. Or just sit in a stupor, then great. If she wants to erase her iPad, so be it. It is up to her to do the necessary things or not. Focus my efforts in the coming weeks on getting my proverbial house in order. Organize what I've left in a mess, decide on the things that are awaiting a decision, take care of the more urgent projects that I've been neglecting due to distraction. These are things that I have been weak on accomplishing the past few years. Though she will appreciate it, I need to do it for me. I will need to set up some temporary boundaries so I have the space to just focus on this. For the past decade, I haven't created the boundaries necessary to enable me to be successful at this. This means I won't be attending to her needs or actively working to reconnect with her. I may come home and immediately start working on things without stopping to chat about the day. It may mean that I am in a bad mood because I am doing something that I really don't want to be doing. It may mean she'll have to get herself out of bed to take care of the kids, and it will all be a severe departure from our current patterns. To clarify, I am willing to assure her that I will be there with her trying to make things work once she does the necessary things to make amends for the emotional affair. What I cannot guarantee is that the marriage is going to work no matter what. It will take both of us making serious changes for things to work. If she can't resolve some issues with self-esteem, self-identity, and codependence, then we'll be stuck in the same places we've been. Likewise, for resolving issues with myself, I do not want to stay in the same exact marriage that we've for the last several years. I can envision a path that gets up to a better place, but I can't promise I'm going to stay if she doesn't go down the path with me. Just to make sure I am understanding the suggested paths to take right now. Option 1. Give ultimatum that she takes responsibility for her actions and give a timeline for that to occur. Directly working on marriage issues on hold pending remorse over emotional affair. Spend time working on my own issues. Accept that there is a significant probability that she will not come through and filing for D will be the next step. Option 2. Take the high road and provide her with some form of carrot to entice her to work on resolving emotional affair and then to work on the marriage. While she should be the one doing the lifting and making the first moves, I take on that responsibility myself since she has shown no signs of having that ability. Carrot could be proceeding with working on marriage issues, trying to meet her needs, or just start trying to reattach and show affection. In other words, provide her with some comfort and reassurance of the future of our relationship. The remorse and trust rebuilding still have to occur, but the theory is that she needs the comfort there before she can do her part. The risk here is that she may ultimately not do her part and we will go through more heartache by opening back up to each other only to ultimately fail months down the road. The other risk is that I won't be able to work through the resentment of having to go this route. Given my wife's behavior, option 2 seems more likely to have a positive outcome. However, I am not ready to swallow that option. It also seems very nice guy to me. Final update, a few months later. The plan is to also work on improving communication skills and eliminating passive-aggressive behavior. One caveat is that she still has to come clean on all details on the emotional affair and show remorse for it. She has not contacted the other man again as far as I have been able to tell, but she has never shown true remorse for it either. Wife and kids just got back from a few-week visit at the in-laws' house. I hope to have the conversation by this weekend. We'll have to see if she is willing to go along with owning up to the emotional affair and doing the hard work of self-improvement, including a fair amount of weight loss on her part. For me, my progress was limited while I was weighed down by the decision of whether she can be a good partner for me. Now that I have let go of that decision, I have been able to start moving forward some, making some progress on nice guy sort of things and ending the codependency. Main thing I need to do is just get all of my crap in order, catch up on neglected tasks at home, get organized, and generally just be in control of myself. I am somewhat limited on this due to an ADHD, anxiety combo that keep me from being very efficient. I am starting to try to improve this. My comment, this OP will give her an infinite time for remorse. You know why? Because he doesn't want change. He likes being in a family at all cost. Even if his wife had a physical affair, he wants his family stay together like this. Unlike some viewers, I think reconciliation can happen, but only if your partner makes the change on their own. You cannot force people to be remorseful. At least his wife is off the market now. That's the best thing OP did.